Hi guys, today this is kind of your warm-up video to the class. I want to make sure you get a good sense of what we're doing. And what's nice is this is actually pretty simple, these concepts, but I want to make sure if you guys can't daydream, you got to pay attention. What I'm going to ask you to do is reflect over the y-axis. And when I ask you to do that, a reflection is basically like a mirror or like a flip. You're flipping it over the y-axis and you're changing where it's at. And let's just go ahead. I'm going to highlight the y-axis so you get a good idea of what it is, where it's at. It even has a y on the top to label you what it is. So you should never forget that. But the idea of this triangle ABC is going to get flipped over. Let's think about what's happening here. If I was to look at A, how far is A from the y-axis? It's only 1 unit. Do you guys see that? It's only 1 unit. So you're only needing to go, for the other side to flip it, you only need to go 1 unit on the other side. So let me show you. Let me clean this up for you. Your other coordinate is going to be right there where it gets flipped. And it just flipped over 1 spot. Okay? Now let's take a look at the B. How far away is the B from the y-axis? 3 units. So you're literally just going to go 1, 2, 3 units over to this side. All right? You see what's happening? You see a pattern? The C is a little confusing because it's a little farther, but not too much. How far is it? It's going to be 7 units. So you're also going to go 7 units over here, and it's going to be right there. That's where your new C is going to be. And you're going to draw your triangle. And look at this. Look at these 2 triangles. They have now been reflected. You reflected triangle ABC to turn into triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. You're going to do this all in geometry when you're sophomores. But it's a good head start because they want to make sure you get a sense of it in 8th grade. Now, it's a flip over the y-axis, okay? Whenever you flip something over a y-axis, things are going to kind of change, and there's always going to be rules that we're going to write. So right here, A, put over here, and then A prime. And then let's just go ahead and examine these 2 coordinates. So where is A? A is over 1 up 6, so 1 comma 6. Where is A prime? Negative 1 up 6. So negative 1 up 6. Can you just take a second and process these 2 points and maybe try to find a difference between either points and what's going on between here versus here? If you're looking at it, you can tell that I can see that the 6's don't change. But I want you to be more specific. When you say 6's, aren't these x's and y's? X's and y's. So what didn't change? The y value did not change. The y value didn't change, okay? That's something very important. Y value doesn't change. We're going to go in deeper detail on Monday, but I want to make sure you get an idea. When you look at the rule, the y value doesn't change. But what did change? It went from 1, right? 1 to negative 1. So some of my students first period were like, oh, you just make it negative. That's not always the case. It's not like you're just switching it negative. You are switching the sign. So imagine, I'm going to go crazy here. Imagine this 1 was a negative 1. Just imagine, then this one would be a positive 1. The sign is just going to switch. Whatever the x value is, it will switch to the next one, okay? It's a lot to take in. I'm not so much worried about this today. I want to make sure you understand how these triangles got reflected, all right? There's a lot of ink on here. Let me erase it all. And that was over the y-axis. Let's go ahead and do one over the x-axis, all right? So reflect over x-axis, okay? In order to do that, same concept, except which one's my x-axis? Down here, right? And I'm going to go ahead and, how many units am I going to go for B? B is kind of tough to see. It's 1 unit here. So my new B is going to be right here. What about C? C is 2 units. So I'm going to go 2 units here. My new C is right here. And what about A? A is 6 units. So I'm going to go 6 units down here. And it's going to be, my new A is going to be right here. And if I draw the triangle out, I'm going to use a different color. If I draw the triangle out, that's what it looks like. Again, looking like wings over here, okay? In a sense, or whatever way you want to look at it, but it's just like turning the page. You're reflecting it. This is like the mirror. The mirror, the line of reflection is actually the fancy way of calling it. Now, you know I'm going to kind of ask you about these coordinates again, just to make sure. This is important to know. This is exactly what you need to know, but let's just go ahead a little further and see what you can gather from these coordinates. What about A to A prime? Well, where's A again? A is over 1 up 6. A prime is over 1 down 6. Do you see any kind of rule or pattern here? If you were to say something here, this one again is similar to the last one. And if you look at these x's and y's, could you even tell Mr. Mundo or tell me, Mr. Marusik, what the pattern is? If you're able to, you could say these are the x value stays the same. So what kind of pattern could that be? Well, what kind of reflection was this? This was a x-axis reflection. So you could say when there's an x reflection, the x stays the same. When there's a y reflection, the y stays the same. Okay, that's a great way of memorizing it because there's going to be times where you're not going to have a graph and you're going to have to come up with this answer just from a coordinate. And that's what we're going to go over Monday. All right, guys, do the best you can. Hopefully this helped you a little bit and we'll talk Monday.